LaRusse hasn't quite used plasma as a protective shield, but he's working on it. Depending on the density of the plasma, it could absorb certain electromagnetic waves, such as radar.
Then nothing bounces back, and the radar thinks there is nothing out there.
That's a stealth use of plasma. In essence, you've created a cloaking device invisible to radar. Another use would involve embedding electrodes into the skin of the craft, which could instantly generate a protective plasma shield that absorbs microwave energy.
We know how to make the plasma. However, to take it one step further and to get it to actually play the role that you want it to play as a protective shield or protective skin is feasible, but there is a lot of technical and scientific issues that need to be tackled.
It's going to be a while before our scientists on Earth can build a proper cloaking device. But this alien ship might help speed the development. The saucer has everything: laser weapons, cloaking devices, and plasma force field shields. It's as if the aliens watched our old sci-fi films and TV shows before they built this ship. If that's what they did, if they took some of their best gadgetry from our human imaginations, there just might be the greatest spaceship option imaginable: a teletransporter. This alien spaceship under examination has lots of weaponry and gadgetry well beyond our current capability, but not beyond our dreams. Many of the options we found on this new model spaceship are ones that humans have already imagined in science and in science fiction.
It's interesting to think about the connections between science fiction and science. I think the point is that there's this relationship between the two. They both spur the imagination. And not often, but sometimes you actually come up with the same solution in science fiction and science. But it's really provoking the imagination that is what caused me to be a scientist.
Of all the imaginative devices conceived for space travel, the most appealing has to be the teletransporter. The device that can instantaneously beam a being from one place to another.
The flight zone is for immediate loading and unloading.
What seduced me into writing the physics of Star Trek was actually the transporter. I travel a lot, and it'd be great to go from one place to another without going on an airplane. And the transporter in Star Trek is fascinating, and I began to think, well, how could you make a transporter? And I thought it'd be a great way to describe the laws of physics.
It should come as no surprise that the alien ship has a transporter that can reduce an object, including a living creature, into a matter stream, then send it to another location for reassembly. This is truly the Rolls-Royce of alien technology, and one of the most challenging for its engineers.
You'd have to take a human being, and you'd have to kind of disassemble that human being and write down the position of every single atom in the body. And then you'd take that information on where all the atoms in the body were, and you'd send that information to another place, and then some little assembler on the other side would just put all the atoms together. And when you're done, what have you got? You've got the person you just disassembled.
But what if things go wrong?
That would be kind of scary to get in a transporter and know that, well, the first thing that happens is they're going to rip you apart into atoms. Would you still be the same person once you put yourself together from raw materials? It'd be pretty tricky to do with technology because it would take, I think, about 1 billion quadrillion bits to write down the position of all the atoms in the body, and how would you reassemble them?
If we stored it all on computer disks, they'd stack from here to 1/3 of the distance to the center of the Milky Way. The aliens have installed a super-compact supercomputer that can handle all that data.
You'd need some sort of nanotechnology that could put all the atoms in the right place and get everybody started up again. Still, I'm ready.
There's an additional benefit to the transporter the sci-fi writers never explored, but that our alien engineers must be aware of. If you can reduce something to a pile of atoms and reassemble them elsewhere, then you must be able to take any pile of atoms and assemble them in the same way. In other words, the teletransporter can also be a copy machine, a cloning device. As long as you have the information how to reassemble the atoms.
So the way I would transport you is to take you and scan you and take all the information that makes you up as a human being and transport it from one place to another, and then take some atoms I already have over here and combine them with that information and make another copy of you over here. Great, except you're still over there. That's simple, I vaporize you, now you're only over here.
So the transporter is not just a good defensive weapon, cleanly beaming aliens out of dangerous situations. It's also an offensive weapon, capable of making multiple copies of their best alien warriors. Again and again, the most bizarre things we humans can imagine are standard features of the alien ship. They may work at a level beyond our understanding of physics and the natural world, but they don't necessarily defy physics and quantum mechanics. Maybe anything and everything is possible.
I always like to keep in mind the one proverb that you sort of go by, and that is, you should always keep an open mind, but not so open that your brains fall out.
By understanding the ship, our engineers can tell us how it works. But this doesn't solve the big mystery. Where did it come from? In order to get to the bottom of this alien spacecraft mystery, we need to find out where it came from and who built it. Maybe we can spy on these alien creatures from a distance and find out their intentions. But how do we do that? In a sense, we're already trying. The human race has cocked an ear towards space for the past half-century. If aliens are speaking, the SETI Institute is listening.
SETI is the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, and really what it is an experiment to try and find out if there's anybody out there that's as clever as we are, or more clever, not by going there or waiting for them to come here, but simply by trying to eavesdrop on signals they might be sending our way. Radio signals, light signals, flashing pulsar lights, things like that.
So what leads scientists to believe there could be life out there?
I think that if you were to ask the next 5 astronomers you meet, hey, do you think that there's life out there? I think most of them would say, yeah, it's pretty likely, because we now know there are lots of worlds out there. Maybe some of them are like the Earth, but many of them could support life, at least in principle. We also know that life is pretty tough. We found some life on Earth that's living in environments that you and I probably wouldn't want to live in, but that are very accommodating to small forms of life. And, you know, the third thing is that the entire universe is built out of the same stuff. It's the same chemistry, the same physics everywhere. So unless there's been some sort of miracle here on Earth, it just seems reasonable to expect that there is a lot of life out there. Intelligence strikes some people as being a fairly unlikely development, but that's unclear.
The SETI Institute's listening station is nestled in Hat Creek, California, on an old lava bed. The valley and surrounding mountains block nearly all of Earth's man-made noise, providing a perfect listening post for alien